Welcome back to the Centre Court Specialized Masters Festival, where with my co-host John Byrne, we're spending the day with senior leaders from both admissions and careers of the leading business schools from across the US. We're going beyond the MBA to find out more about the portfolio of fantastic specialized master's programs to help you take the next step in your career. Now, if you want to understand how businesses use data to make informed strategic decisions, then you want to start with the Tepper School at CMU. They pioneered the data-informed approach to decision making. So it's perhaps no surprise that US News ranks the Tepper School as the #1 business school for business analytics. Different formats, pursuing STEM designated programs. And to find out more, it's my pleasure to welcome Jack Vogel. Jack is the director of Tepper's Masters Career Center, and Carrie Calvario, who is the director of Masters Admissions. Welcome, both of you. And Carrie, the intelligent future at Tepper. Tell us, obviously, about the MSBA, but how it sits within Tepper and even within Carnegie Mellon University.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. Happy to, and welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I think Jack and I both have the benefit of have been in Tepper for a long, long time, and so certainly have seen the evolution and kind of how specifically the intelligent future, the little teeny tiny under my Zoom is really important actually because it's something that we really hang our hat on is that it's data informed but human driven. And so the intelligent future, Carnegie Mellon is the birthplace of AI. We can talk all about, our old building where, the first computers and things like that. So when it comes to the intelligent future, it's kind of thinking of putting Tepper or continuing to be at the forefront of this data informed but human driven. So, for as many years as I've been here, Jack, we've been, using data to inform decision making. So our curriculum has not been case-based. There's always been a spot for case studies, but it's been more around the quantitative side and using data to make those decisions, and but also looking at the human side of things. So the intelligent future, of course, meaning AI, looking at how that can and has revolutionized, but also not forgetting the human side. So we've increased our courses, and this is across curriculum, so not trying to get too far down the line, but making electives in AI available, but specifically also how to use the AI ethically, how to use it and, with your teams and things like that. So yeah, it's been really exciting to be a part of this, intelligent future as they call it, but really just looking at the programs that we're offering, the curriculum, what are the opportunities, how our students, engage in the classroom, how they use AI, how do we teach it ethically, but always kind of keeping an eye on that human side of things.
Well, when you talk, Carrie, about being at the school for a number of years, you say it with a big smile on your face. So the human side, you definitely convinced me.
Yeah.
In terms of the program, as you say, a portfolio of programs, the full-time MBA, lots of different online options as well. Now, for the MSBA, there is that on-campus
Yeah.
one-year intensive program, I'm sure, versus the part-time option. So candidates evaluating the different options, finding the right program. What advice do you give people in terms of selecting the right choice and the format?
Sure, sure. So the number one is to just reach out to us in admissions, but again, the human side, but I would say is to do your research as far as your background, your fit, and what you hope to get out of this business analytics program, right? So are you somebody who's mid-career and, whether you've got family, kids, pets, responsibilities, and you're thinking, listen, I don't think that I can pause all of that, move all of that to Pittsburgh for a year, than perhaps the part-time version because they are mirrors of each other. They are the same graduation requirements, the part-time online version of MS Business Analytics and the full-time in-person. Same graduation requirements. Diploma says MS in Business Analytics from Carnegie Mellon. But it's really just looking at what do you hope to get out of the program? If it's hey, I think I want to stay in my job or I want to become that analytics expert. I've been doing this for a couple years. Maybe I've been doing this for many years and I'm realizing I need to become that analytics expert, but life, situation, or I'm just really happy where I am. Hey, I can get this degree and I can get this skill set online in the evenings and still kind of carry out, life as is. There's also where Jack comes in all of this is the career side Our full-time MSBA is for pre-experience. And so that's going to be folks that are just graduating undergrad, maybe have a year or two of relevant technical work experience, want to do that 1 year program and kind of take that first step into an analytics career. And so kind of different seasons of life, different expectations of kind of what they want to get out of the program, and kind of how they work with the Career Center differs as well.
Well, it sounds like, Jack, we've got a lot to get into because thinking about life, and of course, you hold up this mirror, whether it's at the early stage career or what was it, the family, the kids, the pets
Yes.
were in there
Okay.
too.
Yep.
How do you then help candidates, students as they're coming into the program, think about their own career direction?
Yeah, well, I'll start with a sports analogy that maybe falls flat on some audiences, but to set it up, there's a guy named Wayne Gretzky who was sort of undisputably the greatest professional hockey player of all time. And during an interview, he was asked, why are you so much better than any other hockey player currently or in the past? And he said, well, all the other players skate to where the puck is, and I skate to where it's going to be.
Right.
And kind of skating to where the puck is going to be, or to use a soccer or football analogy, where the ball is going to be rather than where it is kind of the way we like to think about building skills and planning for careers, right? It's like, let's not look at what the cool thing was to do last year. Let's look ahead. Let's see where there's changes. Let's see where there's increased demand for specific skills. Let's try to develop those skills and then parlay those skills, that degree, into a role that's going to have an above average trajectory, right? And within sort of analytics, and with particular respect to the MSBA program, it's interesting. We'll see job postings now that are not specifically targeting data analysts or data scientists. They're sort of the full range of sort of business jobs for early career professionals, where 5 and 10 years ago, the job descriptions and job requirements rarely had sort of analytics related requirements. And now, as you look across all industries, all sort of functional areas spanning operations, marketing, finance, wherever a young professional might want to start their career, you're seeing creeping into these sort of non-traditionally data jobs required skills like Python, data visualization, A/B testing. So the standard professional job market is drifting towards data analysis and data science. So the good news for us and for our MSBA students is, if they just love data science and they want to be a data scientist or a machine learning engineer or something like that, great. Go to the hard traditional path that kind of has data written all over it. But if you have broader business skills and don't necessarily want to spend the majority of your time, just some of your time, in sort of rigorous analytics, all of these other jobs are starting to sort of show a need or preference for business graduates who can do those technical things. A little bit better skills in coding, in math, probability, stats, basic understanding of machine learning. So I think the creation of the program was maybe a little bit ahead of its time, and the job market, broadly speaking, is catching up to the skills that we've been teaching for the past few years.
Right. We talked about business savvy, data savvy business leaders. I mean, if someone comes into your office and says, Jack, I want to be the VP managing data at a big bank, or I want to be the chief data officer at a media organization, Tepper, of course, will help them get there at some point, maybe not straight out of the program. How do you like to think about industries, sectors, and aligning that with the individual, their own passions and skills and everything that they're going to be learning in the program?
Sure. So I guess anytime we talk about leadership at the Tepper School, we have to start with the Accelerate Leadership Center. We very, very deliberately, several years ago, created a dedicated unit within the business school to teach leadership and communication skills, the skills that are necessarily sort of bolted on to the other traditional business skills, so that our graduates can sort of, achieve fullest potential so that they can climb as high on the corporate ladder over time as is possible. So through this sort of dedicated center, students from day one through graduation have the opportunity to do leadership skill assessments, personality skill assessments, like basically measuring themselves in terms of their leadership potential and strengths and weaknesses. And then they can sort of establish a roadmap that lets them sort of improve in all of those, especially the ones where they might need more work. So that's I guess kind of number one. You referred to sort of various industries, and we can dig deeper into that. I would say one of the things we tend to point out to students is the benefit of targeting industries or companies that are growing. Growth creates leadership vacuums that pull talented people up from the bottom, right? If you're in a very like established company in an established industry that isn't really growing or innovating, then sort of, to exaggerate slightly, you have to wait for one person to retire before there's an opening to move up into, right? Growth creates that great vacuum that pulls good people up as fast as they're capable of moving. So thinking about change and thinking about growth and sort of trying to, again, look to where the puck or the ball is going to be in the future, I think raises the odds of students achieving their full leadership potential.
Well, in your honor, Wayne Gretzky was great with a quote or a soundbite, but Jack, I think as you think about leadership vacuums and other things that you've already shared, there are going to be some great hashtags that are coming out of this session. We spoke just before we went live, Carrie, about how popular Tepper is even within CMU's campus, and students from so many other areas that all kind of congregate. It's the place to be. What is it that makes this MSBA stand out? I talked about the ranking with US News. If I was going to ask students or alums, what sort of things are they going to tell me about what's really special for them?
Yeah, I think a couple different things, of course, I think that. But so there is the leadership piece or the business side of things. And so, right, so data analytics is everywhere. There are even other programs in Pittsburgh about data science and data analytics. I think what really stands out is the business piece of it, where, yes, you get the Tepper curriculum, you get the Carnegie Mellon reputation around analytics and quantitative courses, and being that person who can take really complex, data set and make these models and make predictions and those sorts of things. But the piece that I think really sets apart, one of the pieces, is the business side of being able to communicate those things, to be that bridge, to be somebody who can talk to marketing, can talk to finance, can talk to developers, and be that kind of bridge between and get that skill set of, we get really bright, academically strong students who come in, and also they maybe haven't done a presentation before, or they haven't managed a team before. And even though the business analytics program, that's, managing a large team is probably a couple more positions down the road, to take that initial, or to be able to, get stakeholder buy-in, or to get those things. So to learn the communication skills, to learn the time management skills, the people skills, I think it's that side. It's a nice combination of, yes, it's the numbers, yes, it's the quantitative side, but it's also learning that business piece and being able to kind of make that shift. And the second part, I think, is the class sizes, or just the culture of Tepper in general, is this intentionally small program, school, so our full-time MSBA class is usually around 130 students. That breaks nicely into two sections that aren't too large at all. So you're going to get to know your classmates. You're going to be in groups. You're going to be in that team setting where, Matt, if I was I was an English major. If I was in that program, I'd want to be in a group with some engineers, with some finance folks, so that I can share more about my teaching background, but I want to learn more about how an engineer thinks through a problem. And I want to be able to push them and say, but have you thought about it this way? And so I think it's both of those. It's being in that diverse background, but small enough that my voice is heard. And it's also learning the business, the kind of business combination with analytics.
Right. With that sort of diversity that Carrie's describing, Jack, you must have a constant dialogue with recruiters that talk about the ability to build that bridge, the business layer on top of the data and the sort of analytical rigor. What sort of feedback do you get from them about what they see in the Tepper grads of the MSBA? The characteristics and the qualities that they truly value.
Sure. Well, I mean, I have to start off by agreeing with Carrie's comments on sort of the importance of developing a fundamental understanding of business as a foundational element of the program, right? All the technical skills in the world aren't useful unless you have sort of the business context to which you can apply them. So that's a big part, and we definitely get good feedback in that regard from recruiters all the time. But further, I think our brand, not just for the MSBA program, but for other, Tepper programs that exist, is built around producing students with integrated skills in both analysis and communications. That's sort of the holy grail from the recruiter's point of view. It's like, oh, great, we could hire the smartest, most quantitative person in the world, but if they can't explain their insights, if they can't persuade people to see things their way or to act on the actionable insights that their analysis has uncovered, then we're not really making progress. So employers need both of those skills, and they come to Tepper to find analytical students who can communicate effectively. Also, I'd say, well, I guess that's enough in that regard.
Well, I was going to say, what do you then see both, for the class of 2025, but as you also then watch previous graduates and how they're then evolving in the organizations, the positive impact that they're having. Describe the sort of the current job market sectors and opportunities for Tepper grads.
Okay, well, I think we have the luxury of being, a top-ranked program at a top-ranked university. So even when job markets are difficult, I think that provides, a bit of a tailwind for our students in terms of achieving their goals. And the job market hasn't been its easiest over the last few years, right? I think the pullback in tech that began a few years ago sort of impacted all top schools, especially those with a tech orientation. Fortunately, we have a pretty diversified portfolio of recruiters who tap into our MSBA program. The top three industries for the class of 2024, and it'll probably shape out similarly for 2025, were financial services, technology, and consulting. Each of those took about 25% of the class. And having that sort of diversification, really, really thinking about the relationships that we curate as a portfolio, not being overly dependent on one sector or another, has helped us and our students sort of weather the storm of the ups and downs in the job market.
Yeah, perhaps at the application stage, Carrie, and this idea, I need to be sharing with Carrie's admissions team that career trajectory that I'm looking for, but I'm an English major, and how are they going to view that and certain skills? So perhaps just take us through, the qualities, the characteristics, the presentation skill potential that you look for in candidates, and also a view to their future career goals.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have tried, our admissions team has tried very hard and I think have been successful, but to kind of peel back the curtain a little bit around this mystique around admissions. And so we curate info sessions, we do things like this, we do application workshops, all in hopes of kind of giving folks the kind of feeling of, okay, I know how to present myself, the best way. And then we've designed our application to kind of remove as many barriers as possible. So we tell you at each stage, how long should you be spending on this page? Some are just data that we need to get. We need to collect, your, academic background, things like that. Everybody's got an undergrad an undergrad, you've got your transcripts, that's something there. We can't change our undergrad. Everybody can upload their resume, kind of do those simple things. The coaching comes, and a lot of times when we're clear on this, is as far as how do I best represent myself in this candidacy around the qualitative pieces, right? So the essay question, we have a couple different options, but really just talking about how have you made decisions that haven't had all of the information before? Just really kind of getting at your problem solving abilities. Our goals question from a career standpoint, we work in tandem, we work really closely with the MCC, the Masters Career Center. It's a video essay. And so it's an opportunity to put yourself in front of a camera and talk for 60 to 90 seconds about, and we give a prompt, but it was developed specifically from our career center to say, let's talk about what your actual goal is, be able to identify it, but then talk about what are some industries that you consider? Why is that your goal? And so from an admission standpoint, it's getting you in front of an admission committee member, multiple members, being able to show yourself, kind of show it. We don't want folks who've memorized. We don't, I can see when eyes go reading across the screen. We want it to be conversational. It's a way to show your conversational English skills if English isn't your first language. And so it's been this thoughtful design throughout the application, through that video essay of, yes, your goals are important and how you'll get there, but also really just how are you conveying those? Who you select as a recommender. It's not so much the person that has the fanciest, shiniest title, more so than someone who can speak directly to growth that you've had, opportunities that you've taken a part of. So it's been this kind of thoughtful curation of the application around how can we get this candidate to be able to show us that qualitative side. So everybody's like, well, what makes me different? What sets me apart? Oh, it's you. And it's really just how you write it. We are the intelligent future. We can talk about those things, but I just want to see a written essay. I want to see an essay that you typed and that came from your brain. There's a time and place for ChatGPT and those things, but to kind of get that personal side. So yeah, so we've curated in a way for multiple opportunities in addition to an admissions interview, which is by invitation only, but it is an opportunity, it's a behavioral interview to talk more about experiences, to present, candidates to present themselves. So through that, we hope to kind of really get at that like personal side of candidates.
Right. It's fascinating that the careers team has already been involved in shaping, for
Oh,
example, the
yes.
video recording.
Yes.
And then Jack, they show up. Kerry's team has already met them on paper through the video. When you start working with them, perhaps they're apprehensive. They've got this whole program that's in front of them. How do you get them to think about the incredible opportunities that they're going to enjoy, whether it's in the part-time format or on campus, and kind of map out the work that they'll be doing with the careers team to open new doors, explore new industries, new opportunities, and see where the future will take them?
Sure. Okay. Well, you gave me a lot to work with there. We actually we start working with admitted students in the summer before classes have even started. We want every admitted student to start off with before they go to their first class, their resume's done. We've worked with them like on a one-on-one basis, like because look, once recruiting starts in the fall, classes, everybody gets busy. It's like we want to start with as much advanced prep as possible. So usually by June, our counselors have been assigned to students and are doing one-on-one meetings with them to talk about their career goals, to talk about curating a resume for the targeted paths that they're most interested in. And the relationship and sort of the ongoing connection continues from there. We do networking workshops, interview skill workshops, one-on-one mock interviews, practice. We'll sit down with students and generate target lists, teach them how to identify, target companies, target roles, how to find alumni to connect with in those roles. I mean, it's really we've built. I think we're very proud of the personal touch and sort of the one-on-one connections that the counselors make with students. But we've also built a pretty big library of resources. So, as an example, when a student is thinking about, writing their first cover letter, they of course have the opportunity to review it and learn how to do it with their counselor, but they also have access to an online library that has samples that they can use. Right. So it's really about availability. Like we're available one-on-one. Our resources are available electronically. In addition, I think it's very easy to talk about particular skills. Let's talk about interviewing skills and networking skills and all of those, and we could dig into those deeper as we go on. But another thing we try to impress upon students early to prepare them for success is the competitive nature of the job market, right? And the resilience that we will help them develop to get through that. Because, it isn't easy. We tend to attract competitive, high-performing students, right? You generally don't get admitted to a program like this unless you've demonstrated that you're smarter than average and harder working than average. But it's a master's degree, so we're trying to help everybody take their personal level of competitiveness and the accompanying rigor and resourcefulness to the next level. So it's like, no, let's think about job interviews and applications as a bit of a competition. That doesn't mean it has to be cutthroat, but that means you need to frame the process and your prep in the process the same way you have other competitive endeavors in your life, whether it were academics or sports. And I think helping frame it that way, helping with that mindset is constructive. I think particularly for, and I think this is common, we've had conversations with peer schools with similar programs about this. Sometimes students who come out of undergrad with, rigorous curriculums, good grades, and everything else are going into a specialty master's programs immediately after undergrad because they did everything very well except one thing, which is find a job. Right? I mean, that's not always the case, but that is often enough the case that it's worth mentioning. So it's like, okay, well, let's review what you were thinking in your senior year. What did you do well? What didn't you do well? Where was the hole that maybe left you initially disappointed? Long term, it might turn out to be the best thing that ever happened to you because you're in this program now rather than in a job that you didn't want. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is an opportunity to identify sort of holes in somebody's previous way of pursuing jobs and to patch those holes and to turn those weaknesses into strengths.
Right. Now I'm going to come back.
Matt, sorry, can I,
please,
one more
Karen.
thing? I'll say too, from just Jack and I see each other many times a week because admissions, we actually are physically located in the same suite. And so we did that intentionally several years ago where admissions and the Career Center share a suite so that it's kind of, front of the house and then, with folks there. But there are many times when I can just walk across the hall or we can pass each other or folks on my team, folks on Jack's team to be able to say like, hey, can I talk to you about this candidate? Or, hey, I'm doing this info session next week. I want to be able to highlight these things. And so we've been really intentional and thoughtful about how that then impacts these prospective students. The conversations that Jack and I have, the meetings that our teams have can inform the type of questions we're asking in an interview. And it informs my ability to, when someone tells me their goals, I'm like, well, but let's talk a little bit more, explore that. That has come from the admissions partnership with the Career Center. So we are, try and be as in sync as we can so that it's not like, in addition to bringing in the Career Center as part of the application review, admission committee meetings, not that Jack's going to know every single MSBA student who sits down in his office and be like, oh yeah, I remember that, but at least to be as much as involved in that application review, that admission review to know, okay, I've got several students who are coming in, that there's this and there's that. So I think one other thing I just wanted to mention was just that level of, of camaraderie, but also just sharing between Tepper's Career Center and admissions. It's not just like admissions gets them here and we hand them off to the Career Center. We really do partner at every stage along the way.
Now, I just want to be sure, Carrie, that you're careful with your toes because when Jack has laced up those hockey boots and is walking down the corridor, watch out. Now, one question. How do you fit everything in? I mean, the full-time 9-month program and with that rigor, but also, of course, the Tepper Quad that's in the middle of this extraordinary institution and everything else that's going on in the rest of Carnegie Mellon. How do you help them to prioritize and, do all the work, optimize their career search, but have fun too?
I know, Jack, you have a magic
Carrie,
wand.
question for you.
I was asked Jack if he had his magic wand. I think that as upfront, hopefully it has come across, and certainly if folks have interacted with us, we try and be as, number one, as informative, but also as realistic as possible to say, hey, listen, you're probably going to want a couple more months in this program. There is a lot that's happening. And I think we get that from a lot of students wishing, hey, have you ever thought about lengthening the program? The program was, kind of thoughtfully created and the curriculum, but I think it's time management and those are built in. So when Jack mentioned being able to talk with the students in the summer, there's also a 3-week, what we call base camp. It's orientation. It's required. Every student comes 3 weeks before the start of the program, and it's run by our program team, but in partnership with the Career Center, with the Leadership Center, with academic advisors who are all putting on workshops and being really upfront and honest around time management is crucial. So, okay, let's talk with Jack and not stealing your thunder, but like, let's talk about what the recruiting timeline looks like. When does it, and I've seen their timeline of when are the peaks, when are the things that you need to be. Here's when you're going to be scheduling these classes. What are some, I think it's a personalized approach. It's a one-on-one relationship with a career counselor. It's a one-on-one relationship with a leadership coach. It's a one-on-one relationship with an academic advisor. All of that is being able to talk and say, here's what I want to get out of this program. And here are the things that I'm okay if maybe I don't. Maybe we've had a lot in the last 2 years of folks who had an extra year of eligibility, of athletic eligibility, given COVID and things like that. And then, so how do I then manage my soccer schedule? Or we have a couple basketball players right now in the program. And so it's having those type of one-on-one conversations and just being really honest and upfront in the beginning of you're going to be busy, especially if you're doing things how you should, especially if you're talking to your career coach, especially if you're, going to recitations and things like that, that sleep can come after you graduate. You'll sleep then.
So, well, one final question for you, Jack. It's in two parts. Where is the puck headed next, and how does the Tepper community, you've got alumni that are all across these industries, and maybe feedback that they're giving in terms of how industries are shaping and where that puck is moving, how the students in the MSBA also get to benefit from all of their insights and expertise.
Okay, well, we've actually the increasing rate of change in industry has forced us as a career center to even look ahead and be a little bit more dynamic and forward thinking. We're not just asking that of our students. We've actually created and grown a dedicated employer relations team who not only maintains our existing or long-standing recruiting relationships, but they also go out and scour the market for new employers in the industries that are of interest to our students and the job postings that those employers have available. We curate a lot of events throughout the year with alumni and other industry professionals so that we can learn from their advice as a school, but also students can hear it sort of directly from the horse's mouth in terms of what those alums and other industry professionals are seeing as the challenges and opportunities in their respective industries, right? So bringing in real business professionals from industry is sort of very helpful in shining sort of useful, clarifying lenses on, okay, instead of just simply talking about AI is going to transform business, let's have a manufacturing company come in and talk about AI, how AI is transforming their business and what they see, which is going to be very different from how an e-commerce company sees AI transforming their business, right? So it's getting as deep and meaningful of feedback from industry, again, especially from alumni, as possible to inform those forward-looking decisions.
Right. There are 130 coveted places in the full-time program, Carrie. More as we think about the early stage and then the online part-time options. Our viewers want to find out more. So just a few final thoughts about touch points with the school, with your team, where they can start, where they can meet you, find out more about this incredible program.
Yeah, absolutely. So start at the website, but I would say start also and email us. So a couple different things. So we actually just launched on our website. Their name is Tess. It is our kind of chat, but we have put hundreds of hours into cultivating this, crafting this, ask it questions. It fully launched a couple months ago. And so I would say, use that and kind of see those responses. But from the human side is come visit us. So we have campus visits where you can sit in on a class. be escorted around with a current student, take a tour, have lunch with them, meet with us, just opportunities to speak with those students. On our website are our student ambassadors. These are current students who want to represent the program. They were in folks' shoes 6 months ago, 7 months ago, 8 months ago. So student ambassadors, visit campus. We are all over the country right now still recruiting. So with our MS recruiting, we go to a lot of college campuses. And so especially if you are at a major university, one of the larger universities, we try and hit as many as we can for being a small team. See if we're coming to your university. If we're not, and you know your university is having a graduate fair or a professional fair, send us an email and we'll see if we can get an admissions representative there. So if you're just looking for some quick answers, check out Tess on the website. If you're wanting a more in-depth one-on-one, you are absolutely welcome to email us, schedule a time to talk with a student ambassador, but come visit us, get to campus, see all the things we're talking about, meet with our students, we'll buy you lunch, and then be able to have a more one-on-one conversation too.
Well, I look forward to meeting Tess, but I was particularly fortunate to spend this time with both of you. It's such an exciting program. It's such a forward-looking school. And both of you capture that with that smile that you started with right at the beginning, Carrie. You're talking about the years at Tepper. So, Jack, Carrie, thanks for a great session together at Centre Court.